Good afternoon, everyone. We are members of Group 8, and we're going to take you through our topic, which we are presenting on, named Threat Modeling and DNS Hijacking and Protection. So we've got a team of subject matter experts amongst us. So I will introduce to you our Group 8 team members. I'll start with myself. My name is Batanai Kasanga. I've got my co-presenter who is Tapua Mabunu. We also have amongst the panel Ishiane Sumazambe. We've got also Lorraine Madidi. We've got also Muchademba Mponde. We've got also Melania Ganda. We've got also, last but not least, Esnat Nikawaranda. So without taking much of the time, I will just jump into the business for today. I will move over to I'll start off by defining threat modeling. What is threat modeling? Threat modeling is a structured process for identifying, communicating, and understanding threats and the mitigations within the context of protecting something of value. It can be applied to software applications, systems, networks, Internet of Things devices, and business processes. A threat model typically includes a description of the subject to be modeled, assumptions, potential threats to the system, actions and that can be taken to mitigate each threat, and a way of validating the model and threats. Right. I would delve into steps in threat modeling. The first step being define the scope and objectives of the threat modeling. Also, secondly, you decompose and model the system or application. You would then move on to identifying and categorizing the threats. After that step, you analyze and evaluate the risks. And also, you move on to recommend and implement countermeasures. Finally, you then review and update the threat model. At this juncture in time, without much further ado, I'll hand over to my co-presenter, who happened to be Muchademba Mponde, who's going to dig deeper in terms of threat modeling methodologies.
Thank you very much, Badanai. I'm going to do with threat modeling methodologies, and the first methodology that I'm going to do with is a STRIDE threat model. The threat model is a developer-focused model to identify and classify threats under 6 types of attacks. These attacks include spoofing identity, with an example of faking an email address to manipulate the recipient into sharing confidential information. We also have tampering, which includes modifying data on websites to redirect visitors to phishing pages. Then the third one is repudiation, which involves altering data, information logs to hide unauthorized access. Then the fourth one is information disclosure, which include hacking into a database to steal credit card information. Then we also have denial of service, which is flooding your website with excessive traffic because downtime. Then the second methodology is process for attack simulation and threat analysis, abbreviated as PASTA. PASTA is an attacker-centric methodology with 7 steps. It is designed to correlate business objectives with technical requirements. PASTA steps guide teams to dynamically identify, count, and prioritize threats. Then the third one is Common Vulnerability Scoring System, CVSS. CVSS is a standardized threat scoring system used for known vulnerabilities. This system is designed to help security teams assess threats, identify impacts, and identify existing countermeasures. It also helps security professionals assess and apply threat intelligence developed by others in a reliable way. Then we go on to visual, agile, and simple threat, which is VAST. VAST, agile, and simple threat is an automated threat modeling method built on the threat modeler platform. VAST can integrate into the DevOps lifecycle and helps teams identify various infrastructural and operational concerns. The other methodology is TRIKE. TRIKE is a security audit framework for managing risk and defense through threat modeling techniques. TRIKE defines a system, and an analyst enumerates the system's assets, actors, rules, and actions to build a requirement model. Then the last one is attack trees. Attack trees are charts that display the paths that attacks can take in a system. These charts display attack goals as a route with the possible paths as branches. When creating trees for threat modeling, multiple trees are created for a single system, one for each attacker goal. I think that's all on modeling methodologies. We now hand over to Ishane Sumajambe.
Thank you, Mchademba. All right, I will present next on threat modeling tools, and I will talk of, I will mention 6 of the many threat modeling tools that can be used. The first one being Kairos. Once the necessary system information is imported, the tool pretty much takes over. It lets you create attacker personas. Personas are details of potential attackers, their goals, their resources, and possible path of attack. It offers 12 different views of your system. Then the next one is areas risk. Areas risk is diagram-centric, which makes system information input much easier. This information, along with questionnaire-based data collection about each asset, is used to generate a threat list with mitigation suggestions. It is a rules engine and integration with issue trackers such as Jira and CI or CD tools like Azure DevOps. This allows the security team, developers, and DevSecOps to work independently. It also has a robust reporting system. And the next one is Kina.vm. Kina.vm takes in enterprise and asset data as input and processes them using a real-time threat intelligence. Using their unique set of metrics, asset business criticality, a CVSS score of vulnerability, and machine learning, Kina.vm offers a risk source, a risk score for the entire system, as well as individual components. Any change in even a single component's vulnerability reflects on the entire system status. And the next one, it's Microsoft threat modeling tool. This tool allows you to create a threat model based on data flow diagrams. You can create within the app. It focuses on Azure and Windows services. You can also generate reports of the models and export them. And the next one is OWASP Threat Dragon. Threat Dragon lets you create flow diagrams. These are fed into the rules engine, which creates the potential threat list. It is a comprehensive reporting engine. Threats can be added at component level. Threat Dragon also offers mitigation suggestions. Then the last one is Threat Modeler. Threat Modeler runs using the visual agile system threat or vast threat modeling methodology. It offers an intelligent threat engine, a report engine, template builder, threat model versioning, and built-in workflow approval. It is integrated with Visual, Lucid Charts, and Draw.io for diagramming. And that's all I can say on threat modeling tools. Then I pass on I pass this one on to the next presenter, that is Lorraine. Over to you.
Okay, Lorraine here. So I'll take you through the benefits of threat modeling. The first point being, it provides an enhanced view of systems. This is done through one of the steps in threat modeling, which is creating data flow diagrams and graphical representations of attack paths, as well as prioritizing assets and risks. This helps the IT team much a deeper understanding of the network security and its architecture. The second point is it assists in better collaboration on security, which we derive from the proper threat modeling process, which requires input from many stakeholders. Therefore, participating in the process can help instill cybersecurity consciousness as a core competency for all participants. The third point is that it facilitates risk prioritization. Businesses can use the threat data provided by modeling to make decisions about which security risk to prioritize, which then helps process for understanding where to allocate the resources in terms of people and budgets. The fourth point is that it aids in prioritizing threats, assuring that resources and engagements are distributed effectively. This prioritization could be helpful in terms of planning, design, and implementation of security controls to ensure that solutions are as adequate as possible. The fifth point is that it ensures protection is in sequence with developing threats. If not, the new threats may stay unprotected, leaving the system and data vulnerable. So it helps in covering that gap in terms of protecting our systems. The other point is that it permits it permits teams to adopt or develop new tools. It allows the team to comprehend how tools and applications might be vulnerable to what security controls are implemented. And it also enables the development team to prioritize the vulnerability fixes according to the severity and impact of the anticipated threats. And it detects issues prematurely and the software development lifecycle, and it also allocates the design faults that traditional testing methods and code reviews may not encounter. The benefits are quite many, and these are the list of a few that we could put on PPT. Our next presenter will be Tapua Mabulu. He'll be presenting on DNS. Over to you, Tapua.
Thank you so much, Lorraine. Well, I'm using my colleague's machine, Batanai Kasanga, Tapua Mabulu here. So I will take us through a brief description of what DNS hijacking is. DNS is short for domain name system. And as you are aware, computers don't understand human language. Instead, they do understand numeric, which in this case, the IP addresses. So basically, DNS is mainly to do with resolving the human readable language into computer language. So a domain name system attack hijacking, it's an attack where cyber criminals exploit vulnerabilities found in the domain system of a server. So we found out that in most instances, it's mostly an attack on the DNS to make it unavailable for users. In such a case, users won't have visibility or access to whichever services are hosted on the servers. While in other cases, it could be a stealth mode of redirecting the website to users to go to an alternative website. So in short, DNS hijacking attacks use DNS as a significant part of the attack process. So usually during a DNS hijacking, attackers incorrectly resolve DNS queries sent by users and they redirect them to bogus sites without the users notice. So you find out that it's a very interesting area, given that most companies do have these domain names. So it's quite important that companies are aware of what's going on with regards to this area. So at this point in time, I will hand over to my colleague Melania Ganda, who will take us through the hijacking attacks. Over to you, Melania.
Thank you, Tapo. Thank you, Tapiwa Mabunu. I'm Melania Ganda. I'm taking you through the types of DNS hijacking attacks. We've got 4: the local DNS hijack, the router DNS hijack, the main in the middle DNS hijack, the rogue DNS hijack. On the local DNS hijack, this DNS hijacking method is archived when a cyber criminal installs a Trojan malware on a website user's computer. This malware is built to disguise as a legitimate software. Once it's active, it gives hackers access to the network systems in use and allows them to steal data and alter DNS settings to redirect users to the fake websites. Then the router DNS hijack. This DNS hijacking method involves hackers using a vulnerable DNS router, which is a hardware device used by domain service providers to link their domain names to equivalent IP addresses, to launch a DNS attack by overriding and reconfiguring the router's DNS settings. Once this is done, the attackers jam the website, then redirects traffic to another malicious website, making the website inaccessible to users. Then we have man in the middle DNS hijack. This is done by hackers operating within the communication between a network user and a DNS server to obstruct such communication and eventually redirect the user to an unknown destination IP address, leading to harmful websites. It also referred to as an DNS spoofing. Then the last one we have is rogue DNS hijack. This involves an attacker hacking the DNS server, altering its saved records and redirecting subsequent DNS queries to malicious websites usually owned by them. I now hand you over to Esnat. Esnat.
Thank you, Melania. Thank you. There are so many ways, so many measures we can take to mitigate the DNS hijacking. But for the sake of time, I'm going to explain 3. Since DNS hijacking is a frequent attack on website, both website owners and users should put precautionary measures in place to prevent DNS hijacking. There are so many ways to prevent DNS hijacking from the front end and back end of a website's usage. First one being install firewalls around DNS resolvers. Since DNS resolvers are a part of every DNS, and during a DNS hijacking attack, attackers install counterfeit resolvers in a DNS to counter the legitimate resolvers. Your IT team must have your legitimate resolver secured by a firewall to shut down every unknown resolver. This will block any external access and secure your DNS. The second one being improve name server access restrictions. Since an attacker can be within your organization, it is essential that your IT team puts in place a physical security system and a multi-factor authentication access to reduce the risk of DNS hijacking. The last one being put measure in place against cache poisoning. Website cache poisoning can be prevented by randomizing user identity, making query IDs random, using random source codes for your server, and randomly including both uppercase and lowercase characters in your website domain name. Thank you.